Thank you guys for watching the Church Training Academy live show, or if you're watching the recording, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day, your schedule, to spend some time with us and learn with us. We got some amazing stuff for you, but if you don't know who we are, Church Training Academy is all about showing you how to exploit technology, this wonderful gift that God's given us to impact your city and grow your church. Everything we do is for the kingdom, and it's for your ministry, and we're so excited to have you watching. Today, we have an amazing guest, Adam Mclaughlin from Florida, and we're going to be talking about announcements. Now, do you do announcements? Do you do live announcements? Do you have a speaker that goes up and presents the announcements? Do you do recorded announcements? Do you have a video announcements that you show in service, maybe for 3 to 5 minutes? Or do you do announcements on your social media? Many of us try to do our events or announcements on social media. So what we're talking about kind of carries over to that. So today we're talking about how to make your announcements more worth paying attention to, I would say. It's tough. You get up there and you have these things you want to communicate. It's already tough breaking up the worship flow, but you need to communicate these things. So we're going to share with you how you can best use your announcement time and capture and keep your attention with Adam Mclaughlin. So here we go. Here's our interview, me, David, and Adam, about church announcements.
Today, I'm talking to Adam Mclaughlin. It's McLaughlin, not McLaughlin. It's McLaughlin because he's a strong Scotch guy. He is the marketing and communications director at Life Church, and that's not like life.church. It's lifechurch.net in Fort Myers, Florida. And he's a self-effacing genius when it comes to marketing and communications. To me, he's a guru. To anyone who knows him, he's very self-effacing about the whole thing. But I like his work. I like what he's doing, and I think he's brilliant. So, on behalf of Justin and myself, Adam, thank you for joining us at Church Training Academy.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being on your show.
Absolutely. We were talking about different areas of communication and stuff, and I was telling you that moving into a staff position at my church, one of the things that I am, it's not really pioneering in the industry, but it's pioneering at my church is doing video announcements and stuff. And I know that I have seen it done really horribly, but I still applaud folks for doing it because there's that mentality that if we're not going to do it if we can't do it perfectly. And my mentality is that, waiting for perfection is, the enemy of actually accomplishing stuff. So right. What is your take in general when it comes to video announcements and stuff? And I just want some of your insights on that. I need to kind of perfect it, and I personally want to launch with a bang at our church. So what can we share with folks?
Sure. Well, in my world, variety is a spice of life, and I'm a jalapeno. So
nice.
We do a mix of video and live announcements, and that's simply to keep things interesting. People never know when they show up if they're going to see video or live announcements,
right?
And that gives them the opportunity to not assume they know what they're going to see and tune that out. And so that's kind of the approach that we take. And the approach that I take is that getting people to respond to your announcements is more important than whether you used a green screen well, or whether you found the right scenic background, or whether your audio levels were set perfectly. Because at the end of the day, nobody's saying, hey, did you see that green screen on the announcements? They're saying, hey, I'm so glad I went to that event and met a new friend, right? So at the end of the day, whatever you're doing to create those announcements, it has to inspire a response. And so anything that could distract people from hearing that call to action, or anything that could distract people from wanting to respond, I would say has to go.
That I think that's paramount. I agree with you. There's, I liken it to a Michael Bay movie and then a really good movie. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek because I actually like Michael Bay and I love those super action movies and Battleship and Pacific Rim and all that sort of stuff. Whatever, all that stuff's great. But when I was taking radio and television in our film class, one of the things that was hammered into us was we should be very judicious in our use of special effects because the tendency is going to be, if our content sucks, if this is a bad scene or if this is a bad sequence that we've shot, we would want to try to make some special effects and some lens flares and some other, some camera shake and all this, throw some dirt and whatever, to get it to have some actual meaning to it. And that's basically putting lipstick on a pig. So I understand that. And you can have a much more effective message, I think, if you're standing in front of a gray wall with a single spotlight on you, getting that message across, because that's the whole thing. You have to get the message across, than having a green screen with an ocean in the background and, a spaceship landing and giant mech robots walking up carrying a Bible and stuff, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we found the most effective announcements are live announcements. So obviously we don't, there's no way to, although maybe that's a challenge, to create a lower third in real life. Those things in real life, there's no way to, superimpose a green screen, on a stage. Well, I shouldn't say there's no way. I could probably figure out a way. But, it's not about the flip-ins and the music and the subtitles and the sound effects. For us, it's about communicating a message that resonates with people in a way that, gets that response. So we do find live actually generates that response, and actually video is the excuse to create a variety rather than live being the excuse to create a variety.
Interesting.
So when it comes to actually choosing your announcements, obviously we're in churches, we have a lot of things going on. The larger the church, the more we have going on. So how do you even filter out, or how do you prevent announcements from becoming 10 minutes long?
Yeah, so we max out at 5 things in a service. We wouldn't announce any more than 5 things. And how that would typically happen is, somewhere near the beginning of service or just after music, we would have our 3 announcements. When whoever's speaking that day gets up to speak, sometimes they'll mention something coming up. That would be number 4. And then at the end of service, we'll have something that we would mention that would require a direct call to action. So, for instance, this is coming up. Today's the deadline. Please go to the information center on your way out today to sign up. So it's kind of like that direct call to action. We can get a response within the next 2 minutes. But for those announcements, we have a 75% rule or an 80% rule that if it doesn't apply to 80% of the people sitting in our seats, we don't announce it. And the reason is there's so many other ways to reach those people. We could send them an email. We could do target social media blasts. We could have small group leaders call people in their groups that they think would be interested. We could have our zone pastors connect with people in their areas who think they might be interested. I think we have to move away from the perspective that if it doesn't get announced in a Sunday morning, then my event's not important or nobody's going to come. There are tons of other ways to communicate that message. And also, the more we talk about that's not relevant to somebody, the more likely they're going to miss something that is relevant to them. So let's say there's an announcement that's perfect for my family, but it's the 7th announcement out of 10. Well, by number 3, I'm starting to tune out. By number 5, I'm on Facebook. By number 8, I realize that announcements are starting to wrap up. By number 9 or 10, I'm putting my phone away so I can listen. And I've totally missed announcement number 7. Right? So what we do is we have to frame it around, is this relevant to most of the people sitting in the room at this moment? And if the answer is no, then we skim over. We don't include it. We find another way to communicate that.
Yeah, something like that could work well. The more niche stuff could work in slides that are running pre-service.
Right.
Things like that. Yeah. So You said that you guys mix video announcements and live announcements. One
Right.
of the things that we're working towards.
Excuse me.
That's okay. You got some on the camera. No, no. One of the things that we're working towards is putting some digital signage out in our common areas and stuff. Some screens
Sure.
and stuff, and then pre-service rolling. In our auditorium, we have just a slide reel that's going during the during the warm up music or whatever while people are transitioning in, and so what we want to do is have that playing out there and stuff. But then also either individual announcements kind of interlaced in between them, every other slide or every 3 slides or something like that, or the actual, 3-minute slide or 3-minute, promo reel. So I guess the question is, with you doing a mixture of live and canned announcements, are you mixing in like the super important stuff that's like time, or the super important long-term stuff that you need to, and then some of the timely stuff in live? Or I mean, where's the mix? I mean, how are you mixing that? Because my mentality is, I want to make sure that if you're standing out in the hall and say you're moving from Sunday school to doing children's church or something, but you're out there in the hall drinking a cup of coffee and visiting with people for 5 minutes and stuff, you'll at least be able to hear what's going on. And because you're not going to be in the service, and you're not going to be back there doing children's church listening to the service, because you're focusing on the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So for us, we use all of our announcements, and we frame our announcements around our core values. So the framework for why we're doing something is more important than what we're doing. Right. So if we're having, I'll give you an example. So our kids volunteer team is our largest volunteer team in our church, and they were doing a campfire get together with s'mores. Okay. So there's kind of 2 ways you could approach that announcement. One is the what. So, hey, if you're on our kids team, or you'd like to be on our kids team, you could join our kids team next Saturday night at so-and-so's house at 7 p.m. They're going to have s'mores. And everybody, if your name starts with A to M, bring marshmallows. If your name starts with N to Z, then bring graham crackers. We'll provide the chocolate, and make sure you bring bug spray. So that is the what. That is what's going to happen.
Right.
It's not how we frame our announcements. We frame our announcements with the why. So here's what that announcement would sound like for us. At Life Church, one of our core values is loving relationships. And we've got an opportunity for you to build friendships and relationships next Saturday night with our kids team. Now, it doesn't matter if you're not part of our kids team. If you'd like to be part of our kids team, then just stop by the information center. Make sure you RSVP. They'll have all the information you need.
So you won't even say that it's going to be a cookout or a camp out or anything like that. You'll just say, come love on our kids, and whatever happens, happens?
So it's about our core values.
Right.
And the upside to that is, even if somebody says, I have no interest in being part of the kids team, I have no interest in volunteering there, I hate kids, I'm an usher or something, I don't know what. But even if they say, I have zero interest, I had the opportunity to remind them that one of our core values is loving relationships. In the first example, I had the opportunity to tell them all the details of the event, that by the time they get to 2 stoplights and a buffet, they're going to forget anyway. Right. So now you still have to hand them something with all the details about who brings the chocolate and who brings the marshmallows and who brings the graham crackers.
Right.
Instead, what I was reinforcing was our core values. And I was basically using the announcement as a front to talk about our core value. Right.
Nice.
So then I might follow up that announcement with, hey, and if you're not interested in being part of our kids team, we have small groups that meet all throughout our county during the week. You can find out more about that. You can find more information about that at the information center too. So I've kind of taken a single announcement. I've talked about our core value, or one of our values of loving relationships. I've talked about our kids team to let them know that exists. I've reminded people about our small groups, and I haven't overloaded them with information if they've already decided it's not relevant to them. I still have their attention as I'm going into the next announcement.
Okay.
And not only relevance, I mean, honestly, that's an event for me, right? I have a child. That's an event for me. However, your first announcement, it just sounds like work. I was tuned out halfway through. A through F, L through, nope, I'm done. It sounded like boring work. I was not interested. But the way you phrase it in the second announcement, you gave me the why, the how, and the how, which is a simple next step, which maybe we should get into next. Is just, if you're interested, go to the desk more. Like, I'm interested. That sounds like something I want to buy into. I'm not buying into, I got to bring food, I got to get my kid over here. I'm buying into, yeah, we want to love on our kids. I want to support the church. And taking that first next step is, if you go in the desk or, filling out the announcement or going to the website or whatever, that's an easy first step that I would be willing to take. So for me personally, even that related to me, and I still didn't care about the first one. I was out. I don't even remember anything about it other than the letters.
Yeah, so I guess what Justin is saying is he needs to know just exactly where the desk is because he wants to sign up.
Yeah, there we go. It's in our front lobby. Next time you visit, you can sign up for that camp out, cookout. But
I'll see you next
yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. So we frame all of our announcements based on one of our 4 core values. And I would suggest
what are your four core values?
Number 1 is the presence of God. Number 2 is loving relationships. Number 3 is team ministry, team, TEAM ministry. And number 4 is multiplication. And so we will talk about everything we do in our communications filtered through one of these 4 core values. So whether that's a stage announcement, whether that's a video announcement, whether that's something our pastor's announcing, or whether it's something we're posting on social media, even our social media team, they have a process where they evaluate. They come to me and they'll say, hey, we want to post this. And my question is always, which value does it reflect? And the second question is, are you putting the why more important than the what? Because why we're doing something is more important than what we're doing. And so we've actually started the conversation yesterday that we may start hashtagging that value in every social media post.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So in our channels, you'll be able to click team ministry and see all of the posts that we've created that are specific to team ministry. And I think that's just another way for us to drive home the why, our core values, rather than the what.
So I'm curious in the social media aspect. Clarify. What I'm hearing is our social media pertaining to promotions. Is that correct? Or are here and here's the deal. Do they come to you and go, hey, listen, we really need to do something with a picture of Las Vegas that says #pray for Vegas, and then you're like, well, which of our core values does I have to go? You know what I'm saying? Is it mainly promotional stuff, or is it like a scripture of encouragement meme? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Basically, everything we communicate gets filtered through our values.
Okay.
So Pray for Vegas is important.
Sure.
We posted one of those graphics. And what we did, though, is in the caption, we said, if you have family or friends in Las Vegas, please comment. We want to be praying for you.
Oh, good.
Okay. So now we're not just praying generically for Vegas, like a city or, a piece of geographical real estate.
Sure.
We're praying specifically for people in our church who are closely connected to what's going on there.
Right.
And that would help us show our value of the presence of God, where we believe that it's more important to have God's presence than anything else. And that would also show our value of loving relationships, because I don't know anybody in Vegas. I don't have any relationships with somebody in Vegas, but there are plenty of people in our church who do. And so we're extending our love to them by saying, hey, we care. We get that you're going through something and we want to be praying for you.
That is great. That I love that. And I guess we can do a whole discussion on social media strategy and stuff at a later date. But
sure.
I love that. That is a complete no-brainer now in my head. It's like, duh, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I think of that? So thank you for opening my eyes. Justin, you had a question?
Yeah, so so we're kind of bouncing a little bit between the how and the why. But one other thing that I see is churches will give multiple ways to sign up for things.
Yeah.
So, hey, you want to go to the men's camp out? Go see Jerry in the back. You want to go to the women's conference? Go to the desk in the back. You want to be on the music team? Come find me. You want to go to youth camp? Go to the website. And maybe it's even worse. Like, you want to go to youth camp? Go find Jerry in the youth building. Get the packet. Go home. Fill it out. Bring it back with your check by the 24th.
Right.
And you're signed up. So how?
Or text camp out to.
And it's really tough because honestly, talking to many churches, it's not that big of a deal, right? They say, oh, people can just go to the website or people can just go to the desk in the back. Why aren't people signing up? Why aren't people signing up, Adam?
They're not signing up because you're confusing them with too many calls to action.
Yep.
And not only that, okay, so if you have Okay, so this is going to unpack a little. If you have a single call to action, but I can't follow that call to action, it doesn't matter how good that call to action was.
Right.
Here's an example. Go see Jerry in the back. I want to be part of the men's softball team. This is my first week here. I have no idea who Jerry is.
Right.
Okay. So now I have a choice, because now my call to action is basically go start asking guys if their name is Jerry. Right. So that is confusing up front. So kudos for giving a single call to action, but
it's not a functional one.
Action. You didn't give a call that somebody can reasonably respond to, right? When you go to Starbucks, they say, okay, your drink will be ready on the right. That is a call to action. I now move to the right and I wait for my drink to be ready.
Right. No soup
it's
for you.
It's not like, please go to the south end of the countertop where your drink will be ready. Okay, right. Now I have to figure out like what's north, south, east, or west, right? And you could argue, well, it is the south end of the countertop, right? But it's not intuitive in that moment. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I would try, and we're not great, we're not perfect at this, let's put it that way, but we're trying.
We forgive you.
A single call to action that will resonate across all of your announcements that day. So for us, our pivot point on our campus is the information center.
Okay.
So every announcement, the call to action is you can go to the information center. And
okay.
Then at the end of the announcements, what I say is, for more information about these or other events coming up at Life Church, stop by the information center in the foyer or visit us online at lifechurch.net. Because at that point, the two call to actions make sense. If somebody goes home on Monday, they can no longer come to the information center, right? I want them to know they can get that information on the website.
Okay. So
while we're talking, we're always talking about the information center. And then at the end, for more information about these or other events coming up at Life Church, stop by the information center in the foyer or visit us online at lifechurch.net.
Okay, so that makes sense. I was wondering how you handle the older subset that may not be sitting there with a phone, or a tablet like the rest of us are. So they can go over to the information center, pick up the form, or do whatever, or get the direction or the link or whatever to a specific online resource or something. That makes sense.
And maybe Jerry is standing at the information center.
Exactly. So how do you?
That's a good way to get people to connect with Jerry.
Okay, so
by sending them there.
When you have multiple initiatives that are going on, or multiple things going on, and you've got a Mothers of Preschoolers group, and they're doing something that requires registration or filling out a form or do something. You got kids camp, and you got youth camp, and you've got the old people going to Branson for the weekend. You got all these things that are going on, and you're saying go to lifechurch.net, right?
Yeah.
So how do you guys handle that? Because do they know? I mean, do you have your web strategy being the front is for people who've never come here before, and then when we say go to lifechurch.net, our people know go to lifechurch.net/inside or something for like all the guts and the things that pertain to everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So from a technological point of view, we have iPads at our horseshoe.
Okay.
And basically, it's a landing page with a grid of buttons. So when you go to, did I just say horseshoe?
Yeah, you said horseshoe.
Our information center used to be called our horseshoe.
Okay.
Because it was shaped like a horseshoe,
right.
And now we've rebuilt, and so I'm trying to get that out of my brain.
So now it's a ballet slipper, or?
No, it's like it looks like an information center should, and not like a horseshoe.
Nice. with maps that say you are here.
Yes. We redid our foyer and we put in a proper information center. It looks like, kind of a hotel lobby area, right?
Awesome.
So what we did was we have iPads at the information center, and they're basically grids with a whole bunch of buttons.
Mm.
And each of those buttons will take you to an event form to sign up, or whatever the appropriate call to action is, or has the information about the event. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, man. How's that typhoid coming?
Now, if you go to lifechurch.net, there's a button in the top menu that says sign up for an event.
Ah, okay.
That routes you to the same website that we use on the iPads at our information center. So from our perspective, we're only modifying keeping updated that single site as far as event registration.
Yeah.
And anytime we do a blog post about an event or we put it on the event calendar, we link it to the page on that iPad website, basically.
Okay.
So if somebody goes to lifechurch.net, clicks up for sign up for an event, then they see the same information they would have if they had stopped and gone to the iPads at the information center.
Okay. Which, and that, like you said, helps keep the messaging from the pulpit or the messaging in the videos or in the emails that you send out or whatever. It keeps it all clear. If you're physically there,
Right.
go to it. Otherwise, go to the website and everything else is there.
Right.
That makes sense.
So Adam,
Yes.
the greatest thing you've ever done for me in my announcement ministry, which right now is just once a month, but people remember it, and they don't remember me, they remember the event.
Yes.
Well, at least the things that I say trigger event in their mind.
Hang on.
So
Hang on just a
what
hang on.
you've inspired me to do
Stop.
is tell more story.
Stop.
Sorry.
Stop.
I coughed.
Stop. He coughed. He's drinking
Mute
his
your
Tang.
mic, man.
He's drinking his Tang.
I don't know how to do that. No, I'm drinking apple cider.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's why you're coughing. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
Probably.
so take it back,
Okay.
Justin, from the thing. One of the things that you've done for me.
Okay. So one of the things that you've done for me to help improve my announcement ministry, which is right now is just once a month, but the way that I've the strategy I've taken from you has really helped people not just remember me, but also remember the events, and that's telling stories. So namely your cockroach story that you have, that's just infamous now in the church communications community. So how can you leverage a story like that has no relation to a camp out or to anything? How can you use that to anchor a call to action for an event? Can you expand upon that? And then I want to tell you one of my stories, and I want you to critique it and see how I can do better with it.
Oh, this
Cool,
is
that
getting
sounds like
exciting.
So everything for me boils down to the segue. So if you have the cockroach story, and we can put it in the notes or whatever, that basically to summarize it, my wife screamed there was a cockroach in the bathroom. I came in, I killed the cockroach, and the cockroach was gone. And I used that the cockroach was gone as a segue to take me to that we had sold out of a book that we were selling. And so that segue, and of course I'm totally mutilated the story. You have to watch the video to get the proper effect. But that segue takes me from, the cockroach is gone. It's gone. And people are laughing because of the way I described how it's gone. It's totally gone, just like our testimony books. But the good news is our testimony books are coming back. So that all boils down to that segue, that gone. I could have used that segue for just about anything that's gone. So I could have used it for our summer life group season is gone, but our fall life group season is about to start. Or I could have used it for, anything else, just using that segue. So I'm not really looking for a story that connects to, I'm not looking for a story that leads me straight into an announcement, although I find those sometimes. What I'm really looking for is a story, a really good segue that gives me all kinds of flexibility. And then I just tie that flexibility to an announcement. And it helps stick. People get it, right? People are still talking about this silly cockroach story from like 6 months ago.
And if you do it right, when it comes to those types of stories, you, like you said, you will have one that can directly relate to one of these others. Other times, if it literally has no ties to it, that is what the segue is playing
Right.
that up, And so he ended up eating the frog. Speaking of eating frogs,
Right.
the sign up for camp deadline is coming up very quickly. I mean, the elderly class is going to be going to Branson. Literally has nothing to do it, but that hilarity, that punch of complete irrelevance and complete non sequitur. The entire story was a non sequitur, but that is what sticks in their heads and helps them remember the actual information that you want to give them.
Yes, and the story gives me a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
For next time I get up to do announcements, right?
Yep.
Because next time I get up to do announcements, they want to. I can like this Sunday I got up to do announcements, And I was about 2 sentences into a story, and literally the ushers stopped handing out offering buckets and stopped and waited to hear my story.
That is
and
awesome.
then kept passing the buckets. I'm not lying. This is complete truth. I'm a Canadian. I've never let the truth get in the way of a good story. But so it's an opportunity for me to now command that attention every time I walk on stage.
That is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so we're gonna do a live critique right here. We're gonna rip Justin's story to pieces. Okay.
Okay, so Justin, when you give me the story, make sure you give me the announcement that goes with it.
Yes.
Okay, no. Okay.
So if we can, I'll actually see if I can find the video of the announcement, and we'll actually try to play it with the live show. If not, then I'll have it here.
Right, perfect.
I did the normal, hey guys, thanks you're here. We're so happy to have you here. We always say welcome home, and I hope you feel at home. We have a bulletin with the Connect card inside of it. If it's your first time, we just want you to fill it out. Let us know that you were here so we can serve you. This isn't like going to Bed Bath & Beyond where they ask you for your phone number so they can then harass you to buy more soap. This is for us to serve you. Yesterday, I went to, I want to share this with y'all because I think this is something that I want to warn you of, but also something that I think a lot of you can relate to if you're parents. Yesterday I took my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese. And let me tell you, if you've never taken a child to Chuck E. Cheese, your life is still good right now because that kind of scars you a little bit because you're surrounded by these kids. Everything is dirty and snotty and you're like, oh, I don't even want to eat the pizza. But my daughter loves it. She loves going to Chuck E. Cheese and she loves playing the games, and she's only 4 years old, so she doesn't even understand the games. I take $10, which is enough for a 4-year-old, and then we get tokens. She doesn't even know what she's doing. She's grabbing tokens and she's putting it in a machine and presses a button, and then she stares at the ticket meter waiting for tickets to come out. And I'm like, you didn't even try to shoot the frog or try to, make the basket. She just stares at she thinks you put a coin and random tickets comes out. And after about 30 minutes, we spend all of our tokens, and she has 50 tickets for $10. You know what she buys? She buys a little fun size pack of Skittles. And that is the most happy she's ever been. And I'm just sitting there like, that's $1 per Skittle right there. That I just spent $1 per Skittle right there. And she enjoyed it. But man, there's just something about Chuck E. Cheese that just makes me anxious. And if you've been a parent, you know what that is. But let me tell you what we have coming up that I think is going to be a better experience and leave you with a better taste in your mouth. And it's absolutely free. No fun size Skittles for $10. And that is our Awana Carnival coming up. We're kicking off Awanas with the Carnival. It's absolutely free. We're going to have fun size Skittles. We're going to have those. But you can play for free to win the prizes. Everyone gets 10 tickets. Parents, if you want to stay longer, you can absolutely buy tickets, or we're going to have a booth where your kids can recite Bible verses, and if they can do it right, they get 5 more tickets. So the whole night can be free. We'll have cotton candy, popcorn, tons of booths. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's next Sunday at 3 o'clock. There's no sign up needed. Just show up. We'll give you some tickets, and we'll have a good time. That's basically what that is.
So that's a really great example where your story matched the announcement perfectly, right? So you don't have to weigh in as tight on the segue.
Yes.
And so I would start out probably getting somebody's attention a lot quicker than you did.
Okay.
So I know it's important. You have to mention the Connect card. You have to mention, hey, we're so excited that you're here with us today. I might have started a little bit differently. So I might have started with welcome to Life Church. Would you like extra cheese? Right. And then I would say, oh, I've got a story to tell you about Chuck E. Cheese. Just give me a minute. But first, before that, fill out the connection card and fill out the offering envelope. We're going to receive those in a few minutes. And we're honored that you chose to hang out with us today. Welcome home. Okay, so if you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese as a parent, you know this is the worst thing in the world. Okay, so that would be the first thing I would have done.
So you almost use a teaser at the beginning in lieu of a segue, because there's really no way to segue, at least that I could see, to segue from the Connect card to that. But if you open it with the teaser, then when you revisit it, it's kind of already expected.
Yeah, and now you want to be aware of what else is going on in service. Like our announcements typically come right after worship. So we have worship, then we have a time where people shake hands and say hi to each other, and then we do our announcements. So you want to be really aware, at least for us, we want to be really aware. If we just had one of those worship times where people are crying and still praying at the front, I don't want to be like, hey, welcome to Life Church. Would you like to biggie size those waffle fries? Right? Although in the right moment, I would totally do that. So you have to be sensitive to that. And what you're already doing is you've got people's attention because you said something out of the normal. You said, would you like extra cheese? And now they're thinking like, extra cheese? What is he talking about? You've got their attention now when you talk about your connection card and your offering envelope. And if this is your first time, welcome home. And then you can circle back to that story about Chuck E. Cheese, right? So that would be my first opportunity just to make sure you've got everybody's attention. The next thing I would suggest is that you want to try and shorten that story as much as possible. So it's great that you're talking about, going to Chuck E. Cheese and the lights are blinking and, I spent $10 to earn my kid a pack of Skittles. That's really great and something a lot of parents can connect with. I think you started with something about, if you're a parent, I have a great story for you. And I'm sure you can connect with this if you've been a parent. So I took my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese. I would flip those around again. Right.
Okay.
So the other day I took my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese. Now, if you're a parent, this is like pulling teeth at the dentist or whatever it might be. Right?
I took my kid to Chuck E. Cheese, every parent's dream date.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure there's a Facebook recovery group for me.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
So now, again, you flip those backwards, right? You framed it with Chuck E. Cheese, and now when you say something about, hey, you can connect with me about this because we're parents, people are going, yeah, I already know what he's going through. Instead of, hey, I've got a story, and if you're a parent, you're going to relate to this. Instantly, people are going to say, how do you know what I'm going through as a parent?
Right.
Right. So you've kind of, if you switch those, little tiny tweak, doesn't take any more time or any less time, but it already gets people saying, yeah, I know what that's about.
And
right.
You hear something like that a lot when you watch a really well done stand-up act like Jerry Seinfeld. He'll start something, he'll say something and go, I don't know, whatever it is, the food, the prize at the bottom of the cereal box. You guys are familiar with this? Did you have these when you were kids? You tear open the box, and then he moves into it and stuff. And that's where the relating, it's like, here's what the subject is, and now here's how it's relating to everybody in here and stuff. Then he moves on with the story and stuff. So that's, boy, you talk about taking the art of storytelling and stand up and all and fashioning it into sign up for the for the camp out or whatever. I love this.
You just have to, and I shouldn't say you have to.
It's showmanship.
If you're going to take this kind of approach, you really have to study like stand-up comedians or the people who can stand in front of a stadium like an Andy Stanley,
right,
and tell a 3-minute story, and 20,000 people are absolutely silent for 3 minutes. Like, you really have to dissect why is that and why did it matter, and the order of things that you say really plays into how people tie in, right? Because whenever you're having a conversation or whenever you're talking to people, even right now, our listeners are having a conversation in their head, right? So even though we can't hear what they're saying, they're replying to everything we're saying, even if it's just in their head. So if you say, hey, parents, I've got a great story for you, and I know you can relate to this. The conversation could be, how do you know what I'm going through as a parent? If you start with, hey, we went to Chuck E. Cheese, which is like every parent's dream. I'm pretty sure there's a recovery group on Facebook for that. And now parents are going, oh yeah, I've been to Chuck E. Cheese. I know exactly what you're talking about. $10 Skittles, sign me up, right? So, that's what I would say about the story portion.
You're directing them to think the way you want them to think at that time. Because you do get them off on another track in their mind, and now they're having a intellectual fight with you while you're trying to move on to the next thing. So if you can guide their thinking into the direction and channel them down, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then what I would say, so your story portion, I would try and tighten that up just a little, get to that $10 Skittle, because that's the pain point every parent knows, right? Like, I went to the fair and I spent $30 winning my kid $2 stuffed bear,
Yep.
right? Which looks just like every other stuffed bear in the world he already has. So whatever the case is. Okay, now when you get to the announcement, that announcement portion, you want to really focus on the why, right? So why are we doing this? We're doing this because we love cotton candy. That's not really what church is about. We're doing this to open the door for you to bring somebody. So we promise you don't need $10 Skittles, but it's a great opportunity to invite your neighbor, invite one of the parents from your kids' class at preschool, or have one of your elementary students bring a friend next Sunday at 3 p.m. Right? So I would really try and focus not as much on the why, right? If cotton candy is the reason they came to the event, then they're not connected to the vision of the church. Right.
Yeah.
If they get there and find out there's cotton candy, they're probably not going to have a theological issue with it. So they're cool with that. So what do you need to tell them to get them there and to live out the values of your church? So to some degree, I would hope, could be wrong, to some degree, I would hope every church values reaching people. They may frame it differently or it may look a little differently.
Right.
So how can we frame this in the context of bringing somebody?
How do you communicate that to the person who's running the event? Because oftentimes, and it's not just announcements, it's when I get flyers, it's when people ask me to put stuff on social media. They say, hey, tell them, like for example, for the carnival, tell them the carnival's next Sunday. It's not going to cost anything. We're going to have free tickets. Kids can earn tickets and they can sign up for Awanas. How do you tell them, like, okay, but what's the why? How do you get that out of them, and so you can make a proper social?
How do you shift?
When you make that social announcement, what do you say when they say, why didn't you tell them there's going to be cotton candy? Why didn't you tell them they can earn tickets? How do you
shift their thinking, right?
Yeah, how do you bridge that gap? Because I mean, I think that's something that I was talking to Seth Muse, and he put it great. Pastors write. That's what they do. That's why they write long announcements. So how do we communicate that and bridge that?
So I would suggest that, I don't accept announcement scripts. I get to decide what gets announced and how it gets announced.
Right.
And that's what's been handed to me as my responsibility as the person who oversees marketing and communications. I would look at the flyer. If you need to find a way to illustrate this to somebody, take the flyer they've just handed to you, hold it against your chest, and ask them to tell you everything on the flyer.
Right? Yeah, right.
Now, even if it's their event, they don't remember everything on the flyer. Right. So now, if I say this up on stage, why is somebody who's hearing this for the first time going to remember the 13th detail when you spent the last 2 hours making this flyer and can't tell me the 13th detail?
Exactly.
So I would say, hey, I would much rather get people excited about the event and tell them they can pick up this flyer at the information center. And I think the best way to get them excited about the event is to tell them why we're doing the event and the opportunity that they have to invite somebody to reach people. So they may have been tentative about inviting their neighbor to a Sunday morning church service, but they probably won't be tentative about inviting their neighbor to a 3 p.m. carnival that happens to be in a church parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we get them excited about that? That way they will attend. They will bring somebody who attends. And when they need all the information, they can get that at the information center.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. I love how you're constantly bringing everything back to why something is that. Why does somebody want to be here? And in a case like that, it very simply could be because it's a safe environment for their kids to play and have a good time and get their trick or treat on.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. And for each person listening, that why might be slightly different. Right. But is there a common thread? Is there a way that you can help people with multiple whys identify their why to your why? If you can get them to make the connection, which is really difficult, but if you can get them to do it, then they are now deciding they're coming to your event. You're no longer begging them to come to your event.
Right, exactly.
We've just determined that who we are, our why, is more important than what we do. So reaching people is more important than a carnival. but we do the carnival to reach people. But if we didn't do the carnival, we might do a dad's breakfast for Father's Day,
Right.
or a single mother's dinner for Mother's Day, or a couple's dinner for Valentine's Day. Those are all the what's. But why do we do it? Because it opens the door for us to reach people.
Yeah, that makes total sense. How do you do this with a flyer or a handout or a card that you stick on a windshield? You see what I'm saying? Because you can't sit there and tell a story from the stage, and you can't effectively just put a card with a URL on it, you know?
Yeah. So I think what you're talking about is advertising.
Sure, yeah, for a specific event, you know?
Yeah, which is telling people what to expect at the event.
Okay.
Marketing is what they expect when they're at the event.
Okay.
Or what they experience when they're at the event.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're saying, hey, come to a carnival 3 p.m. It's free. There's lots of games, and you're giving them lots of information. You're going to tell them, hey, there's free cotton candy and every family gets 10 tickets. So that is part of your advertising.
Right. That's what you stick on the doors at the...
That works really, really well.
Okay, good. So dropping those at the apartment complex and sticking them in the doors and all that sort of stuff, that is great. And that's effective without the why we're doing this and stuff, because it basically communicates a message that helps them figure out their own why.
Yeah, so yes, and a level above that is if you can pre-figure out that why.
Okay.
Right. So for instance, let's say you're going to an apartment, you're going to drop these at an apartment complex, and it might be in a lower income neighborhood. I'm just making something up.
Sure.
Their why could be, we don't have a lot of extra income to spend on family entertainment.
Right.
This will give my kids the opportunity to come hang out for a Sunday afternoon and not cost us anything. So in that case, I would tell them free, you know,
right.
Prizes, games, everything free, because that is going to resonate with their why, possibly, right? If you're going to take flyers for an event at a high-end neighborhood, then they probably aren't as excited about free, or they don't need to be as excited about free, but they might be more excited about the opportunity to meet people. Like maybe they're just looking for friendship.
Right. Sure.
Or maybe they're looking for an intellectual conversation with answers. Right.
Sure.
Like they're looking for somebody to really explain to them why they believe in God. I don't know. I'm just making it up. But talk about that why in the advertising, kind of hidden in all those other things, right?
Right, sure.
So if they're looking for friendships, then maybe part of the carnival is that you're doing a fish fry.
Yeah.
And so they're going to come hang out for dinner.
Right. That's good. That's awesome. Man, I love where we've gone with all this. You can't, I know you can't see me because my video is being used in the recorder here, but I've been taking all these copious notes here about all stuff. Like, I'm going to go talk to my pastor about this and show him what we're going to do. This is great. I really appreciate this. Hey, tell folks how they can get in contact with you and where you are.
Sure. Well, I blog on AdamMclaughlin.net. That's my name.net. And you can download an ebook there. It's called Snorkel Fork. And the book title's confusing. Your announcements don't have to be. So a lot of the topics that we've talked about here are available by going to my blog and looking for my ebook there called Snorkel Fork. Or if you want a direct link, snorkelfork.com will take you straight to that ebook, and it's free.
That is genius. I knew I loved you. That is genius. I love. I'm going to put two words together, and it's going to be confusing, but the message isn't. I love it.
Right.
That is great. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us and to share your insights with our audience. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. And folks, I can't encourage you enough to go follow and learn from this guy. He's very self-effacing and says he hasn't mastered all this sort of stuff, but the guy is got some rich insights. I'm learning from him, and I'm hoping to take the things that we're learning from Mr. McLaughlin and and impart those to you guys and embellish on them and further deepen them with our audience. And once again, thank you so much for joining us, my brother.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to do this again.
Fantastic.
Appreciate you guys for watching, and Adam, I appreciate you for being here and being in the comments. You can find Adam at his blog. We'll put a link down below again, and I hope you guys learned as much as me. I'm going to share this with the other guy that I tag team video announcements with, or not video announcements, but stage announcements with, because I think there's a lot to learn. And you saw me. I have a new one because Adam ripped me a new one. I'm kidding. That was really cool to get that critique. I have a lot of notes that I'm personally going to use, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. If you have any questions about your church technology needs or marketing needs or anything like that, leave a question on our page. We want to know what you want to hear. So leave a comment down below too. If you have anything that you're battling with, struggling with, or any questions you have, leave a question down below. And if you have a question about your live streaming, go to the website easylivestreaming.com. Again, that's easylivestreaming.com. You can get our free resource, Live Streaming for Churches the Easy Way. And that's going to give you 4 ways that you can live stream. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, whoa, live streaming, that's, $20,000 for a camera, another $10,000 for a board, and then we got to up our internet. I know what you're thinking, and that's what I thought too. So when Dave was like, no, there's 4 easy ways, and I was like, I don't have 20. Like when I worked at a church of 650, which I considered a medium church, $20,000 was more than my yearly budget for media and IT. And so there's no way I could do that. But Dave's put together 4 easy ways that you can stream. Broadcasting is one of them, but there's 3 other ways, and 2 of them you can do right here with this little device right here. So go to easylivestreaming.com, pick up our free resource to get started live streaming your church, and it doesn't have to be your church service. You can do midweek prayer services just with your phone on Facebook Live. And so things are changing, guys, and that's what Church Training Academy is all about. It's all about leveraging technology to do brand new things. I was in a Facebook Live with Alejandro Reyes, and I'm going to shout him out here, where he said, to get somewhere you've never been, you have to do things you've never done. What got us here will not get us there. What brought us to 2017 is not going to take us into 2020. Technology is moving that fast. We even saw that in the 60s during the Jesus movement. What took us to the 60s was not going to get the church to the 70s or the 80s and beyond. And so I love that. So if you're curious, or if you just want more information on, can I really live stream? I'm a church of 100. The answer is yes, you absolutely can. So go to easylivestreaming.com, pick up our free resource, and get started. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you listening to the recording if you're watching or listening to the podcast after the fact. The fact that you guys take all this time and attention to Church Training Academy means the world to us. It means that we're actually doing something. I hope we're helping you. Hope we're answering your questions. If you have any questions, just leave them in the chat below. Again, your time just humbles us so much that you would take the time, and I hope it's helping your ministry. In fact, I know it's helping your ministry if you just take what we're packaging for you and put it into practice, into action. You are going to make impact. You are going to change lives, and your church will grow. So thank you guys again for watching or listening. You guys have a great rest of your day. God bless.